Hey, this is DJ Dell 523 here. You know me on the program just simply as Dell here on the Detailers Guild podcast. As you know, right now, times are changing. And as a result of that, we've had to do things a little bit differently, but that's okay. Because right now, we're doing audio podcasts, and I think in the future, we're going to be doing audio and video podcast as both work. And the bottom line is we're able to get you out a lot more material this way, so you'll be noticing soon enough on the website that there will be a lot of material for you guys to listen to and to enjoy. That being said, I figured since this is my first standalone, I figured I would just tell you a little bit about myself, just so you guys can get acquainted a little bit. First of all, as I stated at the beginning of the program here, people know me as DJ Dell 523, and that's when I'm on the radio. Now, I've been doing radio now for over 20 years. Here in Windsor, Ontario, we have a University of Windsor radio station known as CJAM, and that's basically where I've been doing my broadcasts for over 20 years now. Now, the show that I currently do is called The Urban Flow, and I've been doing that show for just over 5 years now. But I started out in the late 90s. Basically, for me, I was still in high school at the time, and I had a co-op with the university, so I learned a few things there. And I also did a little bit with the Cam and Lisa morning show back in the day. For those of you old enough to remember that show, if you happen to be local listening to this, I did a co-op there as well. So I kind of got my feet wet with a little bit of the programming aspect of things. And I've always had a love for music, so I figured, you know what? I need to take this further. So when I got an opportunity to join up with CJAM, that's exactly what I did. I was going to university at the time anyway, so it was an easy transition. Now, the thing about working with CJAM is it's all volunteer. However, I got a lot of gigs as a result of being on the radio there. Now, when I started off basically just filling in for other hosts. So I didn't have my own show right away. What I did was I was kind of a jack of all trades. So one week I might be sitting in for a sports show. Another week I might be subbing in for a rock or a punk show. So I kind of got my feet wet doing that, which was a good thing because I've always been a fan of all types of music. For me, the transition doing that was awesome. So I was able to learn my craft and hone it, if you will, by doing that. Over time, because at the time that I first started out, there wasn't an opening for me to do my own show. So as a result of that, I just kind of sat back and I did a lot of fill-ins. And I did this for several years. A friend of mine, who professionally goes by Electrified Lightbright, was also a classmate of mine. We go way back. And he had already had his own show. It was Thursday Night Jams. And this was in the early 2000s. I eventually started sitting in with him, and sometimes we would just sit in and he would be doing his show, and sometimes I would fill in for him in that, and I kind of got my feet wet doing that. Now, once he moved to Toronto, it left a door open for me, because basically once he moved away, I took over his show. I did that for about 6 months or so, and then they decided that they were going to change around the format of the station in terms of where certain types of shows were located. And as a result of that, I lost my time slot. So I was back to filling in for a while. And then fast forward about 6 months, I was able to land a gig there. Now, a midnight opening opened up, if you will. I had an opportunity to take it. It was late night, but I figured, you know what? If I'm going to do a show, I want to be able to do it and do it my way. And it was the best way to do it. And one of the things is that if you do a show after midnight, you're able to play less Canadian content, for example, than you would be during the day. So because of this, and because a lot of the music that I was playing was R&B in that, and at the time there wasn't a whole lot to choose from in terms of Canadian R&B, it worked out well. So that's when my first show on my own was born, and that was called After Midnight Urban Beats. That started out really well, and I started doing that in 2000, I'm going to say now it was probably about 2005. I started doing that. And that show went from 2005 all the way up to 2013. That show basically was all about old school R&B, hip hop, jazz. I mixed everything in there. Had a really good time with it. And that went on, like I said, till 2013. And then afterwards, I had to take a break because my job required me to get up really early in the morning. And since my show went until 2:30 in the morning, it didn't really make for a good day going into work that late. So I was back to where I was before, doing fill-ins again for a little while, waiting for a opening to come up. And that opening came up in 2014. And that's when we had the Urban Flow. The Urban Flow was born 2014, and we're still moving strong. So actually, I take that back. I think I said at the beginning of the program that I've been doing this show for about 5 years. It's actually coming up on 6, how time flies. That being said, it opened up a lot of opportunities for me because, as I was saying earlier, even though it's not a paying gig per se, I was able to do a lot of things, whether it be DJing at the electronics festival in the States or doing the Jazz Fest over there, and even just doing interviews, because even though I don't do this now just because I don't have the same amount of time as I used to, earlier on in my day when I was doing After Midnight Urban Beats, I used to interview local bands and that, and I would have them actually come on the show, so that was a lot of fun. And so, just in general, I've had a lot of fun just doing this, and like I said, it's been over 20 years now, and the show's really taken off. But obviously there's been a little blip in the radar, if you will, because of the pandemic. So for the last couple of months, it's been just pre-records that have been playing. So I haven't actually produced any new material. But I'm happy to tell you now that not only are we going to be getting back on the air very, very soon, but also, as was mentioned in one of the previous podcasts with Dean, I'm at a point now where not only do I have a new microphone and a new computer, which, by the way, this recording that I'm doing right now is actually using that equipment. I'm also going to be producing 2 shows that I'm going to be putting online. It's going to be the Urban Flow, both of them, but one of them is going to be the C-Jam edition, and then the other one is just going to be my edition, which I produce both shows anyway, and it is my property in terms of the fact that I created the show and everything that's on there I do myself. However, one's going to be produced in the studio there, and one of them is going to be produced at home. So that way you're going to get even more content. And once we get it all figured out, we'll have it linked on the website here as well. So then you guys, any of you guys who are interested in listening to some good old school R&B, jazz, funk, etc., you can check out my show. I hope you really will. And it'll be a good time. Anyway, I just thought I would take a little moment here just to kind of introduce myself and let you guys know what I do. I know it might have been a little bit rambly, but we're going to have fun with this. And moving forward, I am going to be putting out, just as I was saying earlier, as far as us doing the, not only doing a video show, but also doing the audio podcast. In addition to us doing audio podcasts where it's us together, he's going to be putting out audio on his own, which is still going to be all connected, but I'm going to be doing the same thing as well. So to let you know kind of what you can expect, some of the things that I'm going to be putting out, I'm going to be talking about music, because obviously I'm a DJ, it's something I really enjoy, but I also love the historical aspect of it, so I'm going to be doing some deep dives on artists and whatnot. I'm also going to be talking about video games sometimes. Sometimes I'm going to be talking about nature. We're just going to mix things up here. So every week it's going to be a little something different, and it's just something that you can just sit back and enjoy. And you know what? If you got 10, 15 minutes just to kill and you just want to hear something, and it's not negative and it's going to be nice, positive talk, you can just tune in. So I implore you to come by and listen to the Detailers Guild podcast when Dean and I are doing it together. Listen to my stuff when I'm doing it on my own. Listen to Dean's stuff when he's doing it on his own. Because it's all one big project here. And the goal for both of us is to put out quality entertainment for you guys so you can just sit back and just have a little something to listen to. And not only that, but it's going to give you an opportunity as well to be able to sit back and just hear what we do. You know what I mean? And We're here to entertain you, because we might talk about some serious topics every once in a while, but for the most part, we just want to lighten up the day. And, there's nothing worse than not having something to listen to or to watch. You know what I mean? And with this medium here now, we can do both. So we're here to entertain you. Hopefully you learn a thing or two in the process as well. And that's pretty much it for now. So I'm done with the yakking for today. But like I said, there's going to be new material to come. This here is really just off the top of my head. I just wanted to kind of give you an introduction so you kind of know who I am and what I'm about. But in the future, you're going to be hearing some bios on some musicians. You're going to hear some things about the music that I like, maybe the music that Dean likes, and just different things, spice of life sort of things, if you will. So anyway, with that being said, I'm Dell, also known as DJ Dell 523. And just in case any of you were wondering what the significance of the numbers are, when I was trying to come up with a name initially, I was DJ Dell. And I started advertising myself online and, advertising my show and whatnot. And I found that when I went to go put in the name DJ Dell was already taken. So I had to come up with something a little bit different. And my son was just born at the time. So I was thinking, you know what? My son was born on May 23rd. So I'm like, you know what? Here we go, 523. So that's what I did. So every time you hear that, that's where that came from. And it's kind of a little bit of an homage to my son as well. So that's where the 523 in DJ Dell 523 came from. Little tidbit, just something to know. But anyway, that's all I got to say right now. I thank you for listening. And if you got to this point, I appreciate you listening to my rambling. And I assure you that future episodes will have more of a point. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of a glimpse as to what I do in that, a little introduction, if you will. So with that being said, I'm going to say peace for now. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes from myself, from Dean, and just the Detailers group in general. So just make sure you stay tuned to the Detailers Guild. And you know what? That could be edited out, but you know what? I left that there on purpose because you know what? This is live, and we are real people here, so you know what? It doesn't matter what your talent level is. You can do whatever you want. And you can succeed as long as you put your mind to it. And if any of you guys out there are interested in music, you know what? Just as I did, you can do it too. Especially with all the equipment here, with the internet and that, you can put something out there and show your passion. So keep up with it. Listen to me, listen to Dean, and we'll be back for more. So next week, I'm going to have another one for you. And we're going to talk about music next week. So I haven't decided yet who I'm going to talk about, but I assure you it will be entertaining. So why don't you just stay tuned for that. And until next week, I'm DJ Dell 523 saying goodnight, and thank you for listening.